Everybody's tummies are full. You're all ready to chill for a little bit. You're not going to fall asleep, are you? No. I do want to say kudos to Kelly. I have actually seen her do these talks before. The last time was, 18 months ago? And what I actually wrote this down, so I want to make sure I said it right. She has, unlike many of us, and I've done it too, she has very much kept her focus and has been very consistent in how she has led her team and applied these principles. And it works when you're consistent and you do it any part of our business, any part. And Kelly is a beautiful example, especially through some incredible challenges she's had lately. Now I'm going to cry. So I'm very, very proud of her.
Thank you, Anne.
Thank you, Anne, for inviting me. The coolest thing about this trip for me is I get to check mark spending a night in Iowa. So there you go. Spend the night in Iowa. And I'm finally getting warm, believe it or not. So I'm actually going to take off my sweatshirt because I've been freezing. We are going to talk about, well, actually, let me give you a little more information about me. I did my bachelor's degree in interpersonal and organizational communication with a site minor. So I've done a lot of HR work, recruiting work. I've also worked as a career counselor. So you know how we all have our things that we're good at? One of my things that I'm good at is the people side, okay, which is actually how I got that offer for that corporate job, which I really wasn't even looking for. I do a lot of listening, and I do a lot of asking questions. So my team will tell you yes, and they'll roll their eyes. But probably even the people that I've sat next to today will be like, oh yeah, and you did ask a lot of questions, and she kept asking and commenting. What does that mean? All those different kinds of things. So I'm going to talk about relationship building with customers, with hosts, and then I'm going to talk about how I host coach for home parties and for virtual parties. You know what? I need to set up my timer. I don't know how much time I have. To give you an idea, my home show average so far this year is $1,098. What really, really matters though is how many orders I get. Okay, so people like to boast about their show average one way or the other, but what really actually makes that show average exist is how many orders you're getting. And this year, my home party average orders per show is 18.3. So do any of you know what your home party average is per show? If you don't know your numbers, how do you know how to improve them? Okay, how do you know how to track them? Do you all know where to find your performance details? It's there. You can go right now and you can go look and see what you've done for the month and what you've done for the entire year. And I have printed out that form every single month for probably the last, 8-10 years. 10 years at least. And I can go back and I can show you months and months. Some months I'll even write down what recipe I was doing. Because back when I was doing more home shows, I wanted to know, did my recipe that month affect my results? Because sometimes it will. And then you can manually figure out what your average ticket is. So, all these different things. If your number is below 12, I will say you're not doing enough host coaching for attendance. Because you can host coach for a bunch of different things, but the reality is the thing that really matters is, are you host coaching for attendance? So we're going to talk about how you get there through some relationship building, and I'm actually going to do my host coaching talk today. I might be talking a little fast, I am known for that, but we'll try and get through that. So let me ask you this, what makes the world go round? And we're not going to say love, although it does. What makes the world go round? It's relationships. Yeah, I figured if you didn't figure that out by now, there was going to be a problem. So only one of you got it. I'm worried about the rest of you. What does relationship building mean to you?
Friendships?
Okay, friendships. Being there for people. What else?
Connection.
Connections. I love the word connections. What? Anything else?
Being of service for others.
Being of service for others. I consider myself a helper at heart. Okay. My email address is actually help in the kitchen. Okay. So I am a helper. That's me. That is the gift of service I give and I do. And that's just my style. So when we start this business, we're so excited, right? New consultants. I love talking to new consultants because they get me re-energized after 20 years, you're kind of like, it's just kind of like, you know, this is what you do. So new consultants are great. We really can't stop talking to people. We're so excited, and we want to ask them to buy, and we want them to have shows, and we just keep asking them for things. But then we get frustrated if we don't get the sales we think we're going to get, because we all think everybody's going to buy right away, right? We thought that that would come. But here's a great example. I'll try and not move as much. I move a lot when I do my demos. So I read this on Social Tenacity last week, so I want to give them credit for this. But I read it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been trying to say. And it was so perfect. She says, this is what your friends are thinking. So think about your friends. This is what they're thinking. I'm not the problem, it's you. You need me to buy you, or buy some of your products to help you get a trip. You need me to be tagged in your posts to get more engagement. You want me to join your rockstar team so you can become a leader. All your focus points point to you. And now you look like all these other direct sales reps because they're all doing it. Okay? Oh, not all of them. A good portion. I'd probably say 95%. Right? And that begging just isn't working. It's just not. I mean, you know, I can get away. I've probably done it twice in my entire life. Once when I was going for my $1 million in sales by a certain date. When was the other time? I don't even remember. But I could get away with it because I had built relationships. Okay? I don't do that. It's just not going to work. It's just, you're sabotaging yourself. So if you want a growing, thriving business, focus away from you. Be authentic. Entice. I love the word entice. All right? Market your product. Teach. Engage. All these different things. And you'll have fans instead of customers. And fans, over time, call you their rep. They call you when they want something, when they need something, when they want a show, when they want a product, when they want to refer you. I just got a referral for a show last week and an order. 2 different people. Because their friends who are my customers referred them. So it's an amazing compliment. And you really begin to be known for your passion, okay? Because that's what people feed off of. That's what they see. Versus, oh yeah, she's begging for a show again. Because really, would you, if you know somebody in another company and they're posting constantly, have a show with me, have a show with me, have a show with me, are you rolling your eyes in the back of your head? You know, you got to wonder, do you really want to work with someone who's like that? Because they're constantly begging. So one of my favorite host coaching lines when talking to my hosts about their inviting, and I'll probably bring this up a couple of times, is focus on the fun and the rest falls into place. Because they'll start to get nervous about orders. They'll start to get nervous about the sales. They'll think, well, I can't have $1,000 show. I'm like, why not? Well, my friends won't buy. How do you know? You have no way of knowing. Just invite them and let them figure it out. If they want to come and not order, I'm totally okay with that. They don't have to order. They can just come and have a really good time. And do people come sometimes and not order? Mm-hmm. Yes. And is that okay? Yes. All right. I remember going once, my husband had lost his job. We had no money. I went to my girlfriend's creative memory party and I bought a $2 pen. And that $2 was money I should not have spent. But the consultant didn't make me feel bad at all. She's like, I'm so glad you could be here. And I'm so glad this pen is going to help you. I'm like, oh my gosh, I booked a party with her. All right. Sometimes people are at a place in their life, and you don't know what it is. Just focus on the fun. If you're having fun, the host's having fun, the customers are having fun, they like you, you're building a relationship. So, and I talked a minute ago about enticing. What's the opposite of enticing, do you think? How about convincing? How many of you are spending a lot of time convincing people? All right. So we don't want to convince anybody. We don't want to talk anybody into anything. We want to entice them. Get them excited. Get them interested. So it might be, the food chopper video that, or the manual food processor video actually, that I just posted, that I recorded a couple of weeks ago. And all I'm doing is chopping some onion and talking about how you can take whatever leftover onion you have, chop it, freeze it, and now you've got onion the next time you need onion for cooking. Oh my gosh, I've combined a quick demo of a couple of different products, including a nicely priced manual food processor. In addition to that, I've given them a healthy kitchen tip that they can enjoy and find useful. And now I'm of use to them. They want to see my videos, okay? Because nowhere in there did I say, have a show, have a show, have a show. At some point, I probably threw in there, hey, if this interests you, feel free to get it, or, have a show where you can get it for half price. But that's all I said. It was just like a quick, almost like an afterthought, because I'm focusing on the service. I'm focusing on the helping. Make sense? Okay. All right, I started talking and I had no clue where I am. Okay, so let me give you some bad examples. And when I start giving these, you're probably going to be sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, I get it. So when my husband and I got engaged, we went ring shopping. We went to 5 different jewelry stores in the mall. And before we made our purchase, we actually did make a purchase that day. And it wasn't that the other stores didn't have nice rings, but it was more that at store number 5, the sales rep started asking us questions. And this is key, ask the questions. She congratulated us on our engagement. She explained the 5 C's. We had no clue what they were. She showed us examples. She invested time. She was interested in us. She asked us when we got engaged. Not one other jewelry store even said, oh, are you recently engaged? Nothing. Nothing. They didn't ask us a single question. She made it about us, not her. We did not feel like she was selling to us. We felt like we were engaging her and using her services to help us create a transaction that we wanted. Do you see the difference? Do you see how when you're doing that, providing the service and the help, you can be so much more and do so much more? Here's another one. Years ago, we were buying a new refrigerator. We had 2 small kids. I cooked a lot. We hadn't done any research, so we went to the first store, really without knowing what we wanted. We were just getting a refrigerator. And as soon as the sales rep started talking to us, he's like, oh, you need to buy this one. It's got water in the door, it's huge, blah, 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 blah. And we're looking at the price tag, freaking out. Absolutely not. He kept pushing. We tried to look at cheaper ones. He kept pushing. We walked out. Went to the next store down the block. Walked in. The sales rep didn't even take us back to the refrigerators at first. He sat and he asked us questions. Do you cook a lot? How many kids do you have? Do you like encouraging them to have water? Is it easy for them to access the faucet? Would it be easy for them to reach up to this height and get water for themselves? And every question I answered was yes, 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 yes. By the time he was done asking us about, 6, 7, 8 questions, I'm like, yeah, show us more in this line and blah, 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 blah. We ended up buying almost the identical refrigerator that the first guy tried pushing on us. But he didn't know what we wanted. And when he tried to push something on somebody, it didn't work out real well. Okay? So ask the questions. And we'll get more into those kind of things in a bit. Oh, let me see here. And here's my favorite one. I'm just going to give you one more example. We were looking for a used 3/4 ton Suburban to pull our camper. And we did an internet search, found one an hour away from our house. My husband calls him up and gets some guy on the phone who sounded kind of young. And my husband's name is Jim. And Jim asked, say, hey, I'm curious about the Suburban. The guy goes, well, you don't want that one. And Jim's like, what? And the kid didn't even know what we wanted. And the guy goes, no, we got these other black Suburbans in. You'll like them way better. They're from the CIA. They just got traded in. They're so cool. And my husband's like, okay. So he asked this kid, well, does it have this? Does it have this? Does it? And every answer was no. Not once did that kid click into the fact that he kept telling my husband no. Never even picked up on it. Okay? Nor did he ask any questions about what my husband wanted. But by his questions, he should have figured that out too. So Jim tried redirecting the conversation, couldn't get the kid to redirect. Jim's like, I'll call back. I'm not interested right now. Calls back the next day, talks to somebody else, and doesn't say anything at first about the kid. He ended up telling the guy later. But the guy immediately was, what are you looking for? Why does that one interest you? That's a great line. Think about that. Why does that interest you? What do you need that for? How will that help you? Right? Okay, it's all about asking those questions. This is relationship building and finding out what people need. I am moving way too much for you, aren't I? Okay. All right. So really, when we made our purchases, and we did end up driving an hour away and buying this vehicle in another state. So obviously that vehicle that we found online worked out really well for us. So in other words, we bought when we felt like the sales rep understood us. Okay, we bought when we felt like the sales rep understood us. That really does matter. Okay, so why do you think so many people do it wrong? Any ideas?
trying to be helpful and they don't know.
Maybe trying to be too helpful.
It goes back to the focus is on you and not them.
They're
Yeah.
picking up on themselves.
Yeah, it's
So-
easier.
Nervous.
Think it'll be magical.
What else?
When you're nervous, you talk. You ever notice that? So here's I worked as a professional recruiter for a long time, and there's a recruiting trick. You just sit in the interview room with the interviewee and you shut up because they're nervous and they'll start telling you stuff. And pretty soon they start telling you things they would have never thought they'd tell you, things that you really want to know. So, you can get anyone to say anything. So really what I'm trying to tell you is don't worry about you talking to them. You want to ask them questions and let you tell them what they need. So what frustrates you in the kitchen? You know, how many people are you feeding? What do you like to do more, bake or cook? You know, those are great questions. You know, in other countries, it's actually considered very, very honorable to be in sales. It's a really big deal. To be a sales rep in another country is often considered, you know, like a really kind of pinnacle, almost like the level of a doctor. In the U.S., we don't always see it that way, which is kind of sad because you're here to help people. You're here to make their lives easier and better. Okay, they came probably because they're interested in the product already, or they have a need. And heck, let's get real, everybody eats, right? So who should you invite to your parties? Everybody who eats. I tell my house that all the time. Oh, just make sure you invite everybody who eats, it'll all be fun. And they always giggle. I'm like, well, do you think I'm kidding? They're like, no, I never thought of it that way. I'm like, well, if they eat, invite them. So who has a good sales experience to share? Isn't that sad?
Like where it was done
I
to
do.
you.
Yeah, Anne.
Mine is just one of the absolute reasons why I like Von Lauer,
Oh, yeah.
is because they ask a lot of questions. They ask, what are you shopping for? Is it an event? Is it for work? Is it for fun? Are you looking for something to last, a classic piece to last a lifetime, or are you just looking for something seasonal or trendy? Because they'll guide you by price and by season, and then their customer service to follow up on it is just amazing.
Yeah.
So that's, to me, they have it down pat.
Right, and there's nothing negative about that, right? You know, I call myself a mealtime helper. You know, that's really how I identify. You know, if someone asks me my little quick, you know, elevator speech, it's pretty much short and sweet, mealtime helper. I just help make people's lives easier in the kitchen. Then they usually look at me weird and they want to know more, so it works out really well. But when you believe your sales rep has your best interests at heart, don't you want to use that sales rep as a resource? Right? Okay. I once reviewed a guest order, and she was ordering the jar opener. And wait, jar opener's still in the catalog?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I used to think it was so funny and hysterical that long-term consultants didn't know what was in the catalog anymore. I'm like, it's your job. How do you not know this? And then I became a long-term consultant. It will happen to you. But we also had something called the easy opener. So she's getting the jar opener. I'm typing in her order. And I said, so what are you looking for to use this with? She rattles things off. And I'm like, you know what? We've got this other tool called the easy opener. It's only $3.50. Let's take a look at it for a second. I want to tell you what it does. You might find that this will do what you need. You might like it better. Turned out she did. She was thrilled. She's like, why are you doing this? You're losing commission. I'm like, well, the jar opener wasn't your right tool. The easy opener is the right tool for you. It's a better tool. She's like, I can't believe you're losing commission. I'm like, well, I'm not. I mean, yeah, I'm here to make money, but my goal is to help you. And she just couldn't get that through her head. She added $40 to her order. She's like, I want to thank you for being honest with me and just sharing that. Here, I'm gonna add the next couple things I wanted to my order. So it worked out great. And by the way, she 100% trusts me. I can say anything to that woman, and she will trust me. So think about that. So one of the fun things I got to do recently is I just spent a ton of money on a beautiful outdoor patio set, you know, the kind that you can leave out all year long. And I know Iowa gets cold too, but so does Wisconsin. And I don't have to put it away anymore. It can just sit out all year, it'll be fine. So the beauty about this and what made the whole process simple was working with a good sales rep who clearly cared about us, asked a series of questions. We kind of knew what we wanted anyway. We'd been looking for a couple of years. But he helped direct us exactly to what we wanted, showed us some different options based on styles, went back and forth with us. It was the best thing ever. I spent a ton of money, walked out of there totally happy. All right, because he made the process simple by asking questions. So really, when you have more of a servant heart, how many of you like John Gordon? Okay, so a lot of you don't know about John Gordon. Oh, you need to fix that. I'm a total John Gordon fan. He's an author, motivational speaker. I love the fact that he writes a lot of his books based on fables, which for those of you who maybe aren't huge readers, they make it really fast, simple, easy reads. So they're great to do. But he talks a lot about servant heart and helping and how that really does change so much of everything, not only in your life, but other people's lives. But when you have that servant heart versus more like maybe a dictator in some of those bad stories I mentioned, when you care about what someone wants and needs, everybody wins. Okay, everybody really wins. When I went to my first show and I bought, what did I buy? A food chopper. I bought a food chopper at my first show. Oh my gosh, my life was so much better in the kitchen because I hated chopping onions. My rule was if it had onions in it, I either didn't make it or they didn't go in. Okay, that's how I roll. All right, and then I got the food chopper. I was thrilled to spend, and I think back then it was like $26 or $28. I was thrilled to spend that money. That was a wonderful experience. Okay, it really is very much a symbiotic relationship if you're doing it right. Now, I'm not saying you're going to please everybody. Let's get over that. Okay, but it's a symbiotic relationship if you're doing it right. I've been talking about a lot about asking questions, and I really do want you to, one of your big takeaways from this is asking questions. Please, whatever you're taking away, make sure it's a lot about asking questions. The more questions you ask of people, the more their brains get invested in something. And I was talking to somebody over there when we were eating, and they said something about, oh, you need to tell people you do bridal showers. I'm like, well, you can tell people you do bridal showers, or you can start off by saying, hey, you know what, do you guys remember having your bridal shower? Now their brains are thinking about bridal showers. Whereas if you just say, oh, you should have a bridal shower, they're like, I don't know anybody yet, whatever. And they don't even know that you said it 2 seconds later. So you guys remember your bridal showers? Oh my gosh, it is so cool. We do Pampered Chef bridal showers. Now, could you imagine having a Pampered Chef bridal shower? Using the word imagine, you're painting a picture, right? It's kind of cool, huh? And it really makes their brain more invested in it. So it's the same thing I do when I'm connecting with someone on what they might need or want from the catalog. So new customers, they're always asking, well, where should I start, right? Do you ever get that question? What should I buy first? Take a guess how I respond.
What kind of a cook are
I
you?
ask a question, shocked, right? I ask, do you prefer to cook or bake? How many people do you traditionally cook for, most nights of the week? Do you work full-time? Do you have kids? Do you look for a lot of fast meals? Do you prefer gourmet? I ask a bunch of different questions. Now, in reality, I've got a handful of tools that I'm probably going to send them to that are just, the really good workhorse tools, or they're good, solid, basic starter tools. Sometimes if there's something else going on and I'm tight on a crunch, I'll say, you know what, take a look in the back of the catalog at the new consulting kits. Those are actually really great because they contain some of the most popular items we sell. And yes, that's how I got Keely.
Hook, line, and sinker.
It's a work. So, I didn't even plan that. I did not pay her to say that. Anyway, so once again, we're going back to focusing on the fun, not the sales. So we're there for a party. We're there for fun. We call these parties, right? Or cooking classes. But so they're edutainment. You guys ever heard that term? Okay. So they're edutainment. They're part education, part entertainment. We're there for the fun. We're not there for the sales. The sales are a byproduct. The sales will come if they're having fun. And I didn't even plan that rhyme. So and if they're not having fun, why would they ever want to work with you again? All right. So let's talk about how we can build those relationships a little bit. Because of course there's going to be some person-to-person ones. There's going to be some social media ones. Asking about their family, asking about their life, asking about their job, showing an interest in them. Have you ever heard people say that you should do this? Okay. And sometimes they'll reciprocate and they'll come back and they'll ask, Here's a great story from my HR days. I was actually interviewing myself for an HR job, like forever ago, a long time ago. And I got called back for a second interview, and I was meeting with all 4 of the directors that I was going to be recruiting for. And I was passed from director to director to director. And I got to the 3rd director. I asked her one question. In the first 60 seconds of the interview, she proceeded to talk to me for the next 30 minutes and never asked me a question beyond the first one when I walked in the door. Later on, I got hired, and I happened to see her interview sheet on me. She like wrote 3 paragraphs about how amazing I was. I didn't say a damn word.
Yeah.
Sorry. So it's funny how when you ask people questions, they like you. They really do. They're like, oh my gosh, someone showed interest in me. Think about it. If someone shows interest in you, do you feel like, wow, that person's really neat? I kind of like that person? Because how often does that happen? Okay. But if you show interest in someone, you ask them about their kids, you ask them about where they work. One of my hosts from last year's summer, she just graduated with her master's, so I made sure to send her a personal message saying, hey Brittany, I saw you got your master's the other day. Oh my gosh, so excited for you. I know you were talking about it when I saw her last year, which actually I really don't, but it sounded good when I sent the message, so we went with that. So, little white light. But she, just my reaching out, she came back with a really huge paragraph. We went back and forth about her tools. It was just a really, really neat, engaging moment. So, and that's so important because now, you know what? If something with Pampered Chef comes up, she's going to remember me, even more so. All right. On social media. Actually, let me go back to being out and about, or just whether you're at shows or whatever. Asking about family, life, job, conversations, or if you're on the phone. We see people in the community. Yes, it is still important to have those catalogs in your purse, to have the minis in your purse. I have people all the time who they know that I have a pile of catalogs in my purse. That's where they live. They're like, oh my gosh, Amy. And they might be with a friend. Oh, do you have one for my friend too? My friend needs one. So it's not that I'm pushing it on them. I've taught them to ask me. So I'm not starting that engagement. They are. So whenever you can do that, it's always a good thing. Social media. Post items on your Facebook group that are of general interest. All right. Last week I posted about how simple it was to make zoodles. That was my post. And then obviously some fun pictures. Okay. And there's a million pictures out there. Okay. Grab either the Pampered Chef ones, or if you see one that you know is meant for general use by people, doctor it up by adding a border around it, or writing something on the photo so it looks a little bit different so Facebook doesn't flag it. Give people that courtesy. It's just really nice to do. And by the way, do we all know we have a Pampered Chef blog? Mm-hmm. Does anyone not know that? Probably the newbies. There's a couple newbies in here. So on your personal website, one of the tabs on the far right actually says blog. Pampered Chef writes a blog for you. You can go into that blog, pull posts out of there. I use them all the time for my party scripts. I use them for miscellaneous group posts, whatever it happens to be. And they've been doing that blog for years. There's a ton of information in there. Go, do a search on a topic, or just take whatever they've done recently. It doesn't matter. But there's some great stories in there. Wide variety of topics. What else do I do? Fun food jokes. I do Friday Food Funny. It's all laughs. Sounds fun. Sounds cute. Friday Food Funny. Every Friday, there's a Friday Food Funny. And it might be something as simple as, I don't know, I can't even think of one.
Darth Tater.
Yes, Darth Tater, which got posted right near, May the 4th be with you. And since a lot of people didn't laugh at that, I'm thinking you either don't know or it's bad. So I just collect these. You know how you always see stupid jokes on Facebook? Every time I see a graphic that is a food or entertainment related graphic, I save it. I don't care what it is, as long as it's clean enough for me to put out on my business page. But I have tons of them saved. And I just throw it out there. Friday Food Funny. I don't even have to say anything else about it. And my customers expect it. The beauty of Facebook is I can schedule them up to 2 months out. So I schedule 2 months worth of them at a time, and then put a little note in my tasks saying, hey, by the way, it runs out on this date. Take 5 to 10 minutes and schedule the next 8 weeks. They love it. Oh my gosh. And if I get really busy and that's the only thing that goes up that week, there's always something that goes up. All right. Let me see here. Oh, post, this time of year, what are we gonna post? Grilling recipes. We're gonna post anything with the ice cream maker. We're gonna post the popsicle maker. We just had Mother's Day. We just had more of a patriotic type holiday, so I had some red, white, and blue type foods. We've got Flag Day coming. We've got Father's Day coming. So there's all different kinds of fun things we can do. I'm not always focusing on sell, sell, sell. I'm focusing on what kind of service can I provide. Okay? Memorial Day. I have some kind of, I think it's a celebration cake recipe or something like that, and it looks like it's red, white, and blue. So a couple of days before Memorial Day weekend, I post that and say, hey, for those of you who need a dessert, because you're doing something with friends for the long holiday weekend, here you go. You know, same with any other time, hey, here's a great dinner idea. So people come to me because they know I'm gonna provide them with something. Make sense? Okay, all right. Let me see. Oh, Easter, post tips about hard-boiled eggs. Let's see. It is passive, but it helps people feel like you are their consultant, right? Okay. And then I do try going live. I don't do it as much as I would like to. To be honest, my kids are in college. I don't cook as much as I used to, so it's very different. And my husband is an ultra picky eater, so it's really hard for me to do a lot of meals because I get frustrated because the meals will sometimes go to waste. I might do something as simple as destroy a potato. You know, I did a demo on making bacon and eggs in the hybrid pans. I will chop an onion and freeze it and use that as a demo. There's a lot of demos that you can do that make it really simple. And I think it was you had mentioned, you know, film prepping it and then stop the filming while it's cooking and just post a picture of what it looks like at the end.
And it doesn't have to be like,
No!
I made box brownies with
Yes.
my kid the other day, and
Yes!
it was a cute 4-year-old, so everybody loved it.
Oh,
You know what
yeah.
I mean?
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
Yeah.
I didn't even have anything fancy to make them with, you
I-
know?
No.
I'm known for cooking with Lily and Kieran, my daughter. That's like people are like, Kayla's gonna cook with you this week. Like, yay! Like, I
Right.
love it when she comes on.
Yeah, it's cute, and if you have that advantage, take it, because, you know, social media really didn't come into, you know, that bigness until my kids wanted nothing to do with me in the kitchen and all that kind of thing. So it's just a little different. I need to wait over the next 10 years for grandbabies, but it better
Yeah,
be
there
10
you
years
go.
out. So here, and back to social media, comment on their posts, people. Oh my gosh, do not be a lurker. Are you a Facebook stalker, or are you there to communicate? Are you there to connect? Okay. If they post something, you don't have to comment on everything, but try and make sure you're throwing in comments on this or that or miscellaneous or, oh, that's so cute. What do we tell our customers on the Facebook parties? Don't like, you have to comment or it doesn't count. And the same goes for all of you, all right? When they have a birthday, please, oh my gosh, tell them happy birthday. And if you want something cute, I tell all my customers happy pampered birthday, all right? So then it's cutesy, it's fun, it's kind of got, you know, the little nudge of Pamper Chef in there, but being totally just cute and fun, right? Okay. If they have something special, congratulate them, like I did for the woman who just graduated with her master's. If they show a picture of their pet, tell them, oh, so cute. You are there to engage. Do it. You're getting paid to engage. It's kind of cool. Have you ever heard the line, you determine the size of your paycheck based on your host coaching?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then you pick it up at the party, right? So you can do almost whatever you want at the party, but if you don't have people there, it really doesn't matter. So host coaching is how you get the people there and how you get the pre-orders. What does host coaching give us?
Assurance that you're gonna have a good party.
Huge, right? So when we develop that relationship with the host, because we've been asking questions, why are you doing this? What are you looking for? How do you cook? What do you think will benefit you the most? Oh, you got kids? Do your kids like to cook? Hey, have you checked out the kids stuff? You develop that wish list with them. Take the time to do that. Now I have to admit, I'm a little old school. I am very, very big on having, and at this point it's just one, but I have one 15-minute phone conversation with my home party hosts. I know there are people that are doing it just with texting. Kelly, I think that's what your focus is.
Texting or Facebook messaging,
Yeah.
I ask.
okay, I'm old. This is just the way I do it. And it makes me happy. So I am going to go through how I do it. I mean, I have almost an $1,100 home show average. So clearly what I'm doing is working. It does not mean, though, you can't take some of the things I'm saying and doing, take what Kelly's doing, and make your own texting version of it. But the thing is you have to do it.
But I ask my hosts how they would like to be contacted. I'm very literal. I ask them.
Yeah, and I do say I ask mine, what is the best way to reach you? But I personally also say, I do like to do one 15-minute phone call with you. Will that be okay? You know, I've never had anyone tell me no. I've had people blow me off, but they don't tell you no. I'd rather hear the no. So when you develop a relationship with the host, when you've asked questions, when you've gotten to know them, the host feels like you actually care about them, that you care about the show. And the host is much more likely to do the tasks you're asking them to do. Okay, that's huge. And this goes for home and virtual parties. It really doesn't matter. I once booked a party-led party. The consultant called me 3 days before the party. I had actually forgotten about the party. And this is, I was young, just married, was like, oh, okay, whatever, I'll call a couple of my friends, whatever. I had no idea what it meant to call more people, to make sure they heard about it 2 to 3 times minimum, all these different things. And really, I think I had 4 people show up, and they were all like, why are you calling us last minute? And they were like kind of irritated with me, and then I felt bad. So the whole experience was just very, very negative. So it's your job. You are getting paid to take care of these people, to help them. Do it. That's what you're there for. So let's talk about how I host coach. It's all about managing expectations and setting guidelines for how things are going to work best. Who here's ever had a host to express shock that, oh my gosh, my party hit $400. I can't believe it. I never thought I'd have a $400 party. And I'm sitting there like, well, if you would have listened to me, it'd be $1,100.
Right.
Right? Yes. Okay. All right. And it doesn't matter whether it's home party or a Facebook party. Now if you weren't host coaching, okay, you can't be mad at a host for doing something wrong or not doing something right because you didn't do your job. It is your job. Start doing it. And if you do, you get paid for it. If your paycheck isn't big enough, whose fault is that? If you're not earning a trip, whose fault is it? Okay? You can do this. Every single one of you is completely 100% capable of doing this. You all know how to talk. You all know how to text. You all know how to copy and paste. You are capable of host coaching. Okay, so for whatever's holding you back in your head, take a deep breath and kick it aside. Get it out of your head. Because you are making it about you when you don't host coach. You're being selfish. Okay, it's no different than recruiting and not asking people. If you are not host coaching, you are being selfish because you are preventing your hosts from getting piles of free product and getting additional host benefits because they had more bookings, because they have more people at their show. Can you tell I feel passionate about that? The success of the party is your responsibility during the host coaching. And really, the booking and recruiting leads you're going to get because you host coach. Wouldn't it be easier to schedule your shows because you met people at a party and they booked at the party? Hello. So you're making the life easier. There's not as much stress of frantically trying to make phone calls, frantically trying to reach people and getting frustrated that they're not getting back to you. If you're getting those shows at the shows. So listen to what they want. Don't assume. Please ask. You don't really want to make salsa and guac at a party when the host was sitting there telling you she's got 3 kids and she's struggling getting dinner on the table. Really, don't make salsa and guac, okay? You make maybe salsa chicken, or you make a soup in the quick cooker, or you throw 2 chicken breasts that you cut in half with the closing cut, throw in the grill pan and make the 4-minute 1-flip chicken breasts that turn out beautiful and juicy and tender and delicious, along with some homemade mac and cheese in the microwave that takes about 16 minutes. She can repeat that. That is duplicatable. And that duplicatable word's been brought up a couple of times tonight. Make it duplicatable for the guests and the host. Show them something that helps them. It makes a difference. So what are things that you might want to learn about your host? Tell me.
How do they cook?
How do they cook?
The products she was interested in adding to her collection.
Okay.
What's an item, big item that she's looking for?
Big ticket item, what else?
Is she the only cook in the house?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
What are they excited about for their party?
What are they excited about? Okay. What about this? What about, what problems or frustrations do you have in the kitchen that I can help you fix? Or help make your life easier? How can I make your life easier in the kitchen? Okay, that's huge. I often will start my parties with my opening, I'll include that line, what can I do to make your life easier in the kitchen? And people are kind of stunned when I ask that. I'm like, well, that's why you're here, right? To get ideas, to make your life easier. You all eat. Doesn't matter if you like to cook or not, you all eat. So let's make life easy in the kitchen. You know, a couple other things. You know, an adult woman who takes care of her elderly mom, a young married couple, or a family of 5, they all have different needs, don't they? Okay. Do they have food issues? We have a lot of food issues in my family. So I'm lucky enough to be able to talk intelligently about them to people I meet who they have their own food issues. Also, they end up being shocked that I do this because I have food issues. They're like, well, how can you do this? You have food issues. I'm like, yeah, so I'm eating. I still eat. I haven't wasted away. Gained 10 pounds in the last 2 months. Clearly, I'm not dying from not eating. So, you know, are you keeping track of food trends? You know, keto is really big. You know, you don't need to know exactly the details of keto, but you have a rough idea of it. All right, that's all you really need. And by the way, California cod chicken, amazing keto recipe. You just have to tweak it to make it keto. And it's a great summer recipe too, by the way. You don't need to ask them every single question that exists, but at least get started. Ask them a couple of questions. If you ask them too many, they're going to feel like it's an inquisition. So you might need to play around with it a little bit, start to get a feel for what's too much. But people are flattered when you ask. So let me see. Reminder that you are not selling to people. You're selling with people. Involve the customer. They're the ones spending their hard-earned money, right? Let me see. Ooh, imagine. Use the word imagine. You know, imagine what it would be like to have this manual food processor at your house. Imagine what it would be like to have it in your kitchen counter and be able to do this onion the way I just did it. Would that feel amazing? And they're all like, yeah, that'd be good. I'm like, you know what? We can get that for you today. Or you know what? If you don't want to actually, you know, use your checkbook tonight, get it for free when you have a party. I'd be happy to help you do that. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe. So, you know, it's a wonderful way to do it. And even, you know, even go as far as saying, when you're talking about the kids in the back, and most of them are looking at the kid page, say, could you imagine having those tools in your kitchen? Think about what it would be like to have those tools in your kitchen. Somebody always says they won't fit. I'm like, when you throw out all the junk, it will. And they're like, oh, I could throw out all the junk. You know, big eyes at that point.
She's creating that vision so clear that people can see themselves in it.
That's huge. There's for those of you who've been around forever, you remember Eileen Meckley. We don't see her much anymore, but she's still out there. And she talks about painting pictures with words. Okay, that's huge. Using the word imagine is a really great one. Imagine yourself. Imagine yourself. Imagine yourself having the kit, items in the kit. Imagine yourself having an extra $300 a month. What would you pay for? What would you do? What would you save for? You know, those are all huge things. And this is the one business where hugs and fun and laughter lead to a stronger bottom line. Okay, interesting way of looking at it for a lot of people. I find a lot of people are not bottom line focused. You know, maybe it's just never occurred to them. Maybe they never had to experience that. But bottom line, you are here to make money. All right. So let me see. Oh, one quick note. All my home parties, I ask them, would you like to add a Facebook component to your show? And they say, what does that mean? And I'll say, well, we'll just go ahead and we'll create a Facebook group. I'll do it about 2 to 3 weeks out before your party. And I'll just post 3 times each day in the morning. I'll do 3 posts right in a row, boom, boom, boom. And I have a script that is my home party Facebook script. And I don't think I've changed it in the last year, except for maybe the specials, that's it. And I let it run. And the host invites people that way. I'm not a huge fan of using Facebook as a primary way to invite people to home parties because I don't think it works real well. But it does get people there. On accident once, I ended up having a home party host in with a group host coaching thread for virtual parties. I didn't even realize she was in that thread. She ended up doing all the things. Sorry, do you remember? She ended up doing all the things I was telling my virtual party host to do and had a $2,000 party.
Wow, that's amazing.
I was incredibly happy when I left that party that night. But she had a ton of people there, and I was blown away at how many of those people came up to me and said, "Oh yeah, I've been watching the Facebook parties posts. I saw X, Y, Z, and I really think I'm going to get it tonight. Do you have it here? Can we talk about it more?" And in some cases I had it, some I didn't, but we talked about it more. It worked out really good. So now if I'd only be doing more home parties right now versus virtual, I would keep adding people in, but I'm just not doing as many. So let's do this. Can we hand out that form? And let me, and while you're doing that, let me say this. I am not special or extraordinary in any particular way, except for the fact that I don't stop. Okay? There's a great book out there called Grit. Some of you might have read it. I have grit. I have the thing that says don't, I know, awesome. That says don't stop. Keep going. Things don't go well. You keep going. Things don't go well. You keep going. Things don't go well. You keep going. Woo, all of a sudden they go well. Because you didn't stop. All right? No matter what didn't work, no matter how many times I failed, and failure is a wonderful teacher. Oh my gosh. No matter how many times I failed, no matter how many times I missed my goals, I took more training and I kept moving forward. I'm a huge phrase, keep moving forward is a huge thing. It's actually our team motto. We're team forward family. And our motto is keep moving forward. It actually comes from Walt Disney. How many people have ever seen the movie Meet the Robinsons? Yeah, not many people have seen it. It's kind of crazy. But the whole thing in that movie is about keep moving forward, and the movie was created based on that Walt Disney quote. That's actually where they came up with the idea of the movie. And if you keep moving forward, it doesn't matter if it's slow or fast, you will win in the end. Who won the race, the tortoise or the hare? As long as you keep moving forward, you'll win.
Same thing, right?
All right? Yeah. Yeah, it's just one sheet. My team's all rolling their eyes.
I'm not rolling my eyes. I need a new copy, thanks.
So I really do challenge you to be responsible for both your failures and your successes. Your successes make you happy. Your failures teach you more about how to be successful. When you have those failures, it doesn't mean you shouldn't be here. It just means you've learned something. For those of you who are parents, when your kid fell down, did you say, "Oh, you failed, you couldn't walk, you better stop"? These kids get pretty big. My son's 6 foot, he weighs 180 pounds. I cannot lift him. So, you know what? Your director is here to lift you up, but you have to participate. All right? And those failures for me, in a way, make me work harder because I'm irritated at myself that I didn't do what I should have done. Because oftentimes I know what I should have done. All right. Just because I have 1.3 million in sales does not mean I haven't done stupid stuff in the last 20 years. Okay. Ann's got stories to mention. Okay. So real quick. Well, maybe not real quick. This document originally started as a home office document. It was a half page. We had to order them. And you'd get this half here and this half on the back side. And these were our host coaching lists. All right, and I think Marna Ross actually converted it. Was it Marna? Marna converted this to Word. I love Marna because she's saved me a lot of work. And then about 1.5 years ago, I tweaked it to my style. Okay, this does not have to be what you do, but this is my style of working. I'm also directorship now. So some of the comments on here, directorship now. I also specifically have some phrases that I use with my hosts that I find to be effective. So the first section on the left column, it is titled "When You Date the Party" and during your checkout chat, however it is, whether you're doing checkout or whether you're on the phone, whatever it happens to be. These are all the things that I do. Okay. Oh, I just realized there's Margot still in here, and Margot, we can't use Margot anymore. So just pretend Margot's not in there. I'll actually edit that and I'll post the updated version, which is good because I need more lines for something else. But I ask what the host wants. How do you communicate with your friends? If you're getting the guest list, I put that on there because sometimes people still do that. I choose not to at this point, and I've gone back and forth on that. I actually sent out invitations for 7 years. And at that time, it worked out really, really well. With texting, things have really changed. And now getting the host to text the invitation, email, Facebook personal message, all those different ways of social media communication, that's actually working. And I've stopped, and I probably haven't mailed out invitations in 2 or 3 years. So, over invite, only 1/3 are going to attend. That's kind of the rough number I use. It seems to be fairly accurate. But I do use the words. We don't want it to feel like a sales pitch. We want it to feel like a party. If there are only a couple people there, no matter what I do, it's going to feel like a sales pitch. And then I feel uncomfortable because I don't want that. Yeah.
Amy, do you give them number goals though? Like for a virtual party, how many do you ask them to personally invite?
Virtual parties, which I'll get into in a little bit, I tell them I expect them to invite a minimum of 150 to 200 people.
And live parties? What do you do?
Live parties, I expect 40 to 50. Okay, with the expectation that if a third are going to come, you're probably going to have about 15 show up. Realistically, they invite 30 to 40. But the thing is if I say 30 to 40, how many people are they going to invite?
20.
Manage your hosts, okay? You determine the size of your paycheck. Be responsible for it. I was really motivated. I had to make this work, or I had to go back to the corporate world. And when my kids were little, I wanted nothing to do with it. All right? Now I'm sitting at home bored out of my mind, which is why when this opportunity came up, I grabbed it. So I'm working 20 hours a week at a flexible job, which is I'm loving, and then I'm doing this, and my paychecks are still the same, and I'm not bored anymore. I also don't have to clean the house as much because I'm not home. It's win-win. Mix the crowd. You're telling them to mix the crowd. I learned that lesson early on when someone from my church had a party, and no matter what I said to her, I knew I was missing something with her, and I couldn't figure it out. I was a newer consultant. You know, I just didn't have the experience. You will get better with time, okay? Don't beat yourself up if you're new and you feel like you're not getting it right away. Give yourself time, it'll come. To get there and find out, she had only invited people from church. Even though I had said, invite your friends. I had sent her the 50 and 5 list. I had said, invite people from work. Yeah, she kept telling me, yeah. Okay. I get there and find out she had a party 4 days earlier with a different company and invited all the people from work and all of her family to that one. So you just sabotage your own show, you know? So I am very comfortable being very direct and saying to people, how many people did you invite? And when they say lots, can you tell me a little bit more about that? What does that mean to you? You know, a lot to me means 50. Does that mean 50 to you? I'm like, no, not at all. So, you know, in many cases, they mean 10, 12. So if only 1/3 come and they only invited 10 people, how many people are you going to have there? 3. If there's only 3 people there and the average order is $50, what's your show? 150. Does the host get any benefits?
No.
Do you get much of a paycheck?
No.
Why are you doing it? Okay. And how many of you are thinking like, oh, I've done that? Ask them. Don't be afraid to be direct. It's your job. If your kid disappears one night and is gone for hours and comes home and you say, where were you? And they say, nowhere. Are you okay with that? Hello? Okay. Be responsible for your paycheck. Okay? Don't be afraid to be direct. Ask them. And then I'll say, gosh, you know, that's a great start. 20 people is an awesome start. Just to let you know, usually about 1/3 of the people you invite are going to come. So you'll probably have about 6, maybe 7, 8. And the average order is about $50. It's actually higher, but everybody gets $50, right? Okay, so don't be afraid to use that regardless of what your number is. I just say $50 because it's easy math. You know, the average order is $50. You know, let's say 6 to 8 people, you're looking at a $300 to $400 party. What kills me is when they say, oh, that'd be great. And then my response is, well, you know, my average is $1,100. You get $240 in free credit. Wouldn't you prefer that kind of party? And they're like, what? Then they start to listen to me a little bit more because I just asked them a question. All right, so the wheels start to click a little bit. So this is that's what I do when I'm booking that part. Okay. So actually, by now I'm already going into the planning session. So the second section on the left-hand side of the bottom. The first thing I do on the phone call, do you have 10 to 15 minutes where we can talk? It's the first words out of my mouth. Because how often do you get a phone call and while you can talk for a minute or two, you can't talk for 15 minutes? Ask them. Because I've had people say, gosh, no, it's a horrible time. Or it's okay, the kids are just screaming and running around and I've got a friend over. No, I'll call back. Okay, I'll call back. The first thing I do on that phone call is I say, let's go over the host benefits. Because if they don't understand the host benefits, why are they gonna care about any of the tips you give them? Right? Why do they care? They don't care about any of those tips, because they don't see what's in it for them. What's in it for them? Help the host set goals. Ask how many invitations have gone out. And talk about inviting in multiple ways. I call it layering your invitations. Okay, you got 20 friends on Facebook, great, invite 20 friends by personal messaging. You got 40 friends in your contacts, well, some of them are duplicated, that's okay. What if they didn't get the Facebook message? Or what if the text doesn't go through? This way you kind of double layer it, and you can make sure. So layer your invitations. A lot of people are really concerned, well, I sent it via personal message, I'm not gonna send it any other way. I don't wanna bug anybody. Yeah, do you want a show or not? So, I don't know, I don't say that. I might want to, but I don't say that. You know what, it's not buggy because everybody gets to decline. You know, would you wanna be invited or not invited to something? You know, just ask it a little bit differently. Ask everyone which friend they're gonna bring. You know, tell your friends, you know what, ask your friends what friend they're gonna bring. Don't say, bring a friend and you get a gift, because it goes in one ear and out the other. And I say these words to my hosts. Don't tell them that. Ask them, who are they gonna bring? Are they gonna bring their sister, their neighbor, their coworker, their girlfriend, their mom, their whatever? Who are they going to bring? Because then they start thinking, well, I don't know who am I gonna bring. Have you taken catalogs to work yet? Will your hubby take catalogs to work? Although you gotta be careful with that one, because I usually know that they have a husband before I say that. You never know. Let's see, are you sharing the ordering link with everybody? Do you know where it is? Do you know where to find it? Even though you've sent it to them 3 times already, okay? You'd be surprised how many people have no clue what you're talking about. All right, it happens all the time. I don't mean this in a demeaning way, in any way, shape, or form, but pretend you're talking to a 2-year-old. And I swear I'm not meaning that in a demeaning way. People have lives. In this day and age, you are getting more information thrown at you in one single day than we used to in months and months and months when I was a little kid. People's brains are overwhelmed. They can't keep track of the information. Your job is to keep track of it for them. All right? Remind them, you cannot bring up your party enough. Okay? People don't remember because they have lives, just what I was saying. This is one of my favorite lines. If your friends aren't rolling their eyes at you yet, you haven't talked it enough. And every host pretty much laughs when I say that. And I say, I'm not kidding. If they're not rolling their eyes at you, you haven't talked it up enough yet. Because I'll bet you anything, the last time you talked to your girlfriend Jenny, you know what, you hung up the phone with her and then all of a sudden little Johnny fell and skinned his knee, or the dog ran outside, or this or that happened, and she forgot that you told her about her party. Right? How many of you have done that? Because I'll say those lines to her. You know, the first time they're like, oh yeah. And then you guys walk away, they don't remember a thing. The second time you tell them it, they're like, oh yeah, I need to put that on my calendar. I'm so glad you reminded me. How many of you have done that? Okay? The third time you tell them, they're like, oh my gosh, I know there was something happening. I totally forgot what it was. I meant to go on the website, blah, 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 blah. How many of you have done that? And now at least they make a decision. Am I coming? Am I going to order? Am I not going to come? Am I going to order? What's the deal? Okay, people need to hear about a party 3 times, whenever possible. Let me see here, what else do I say? Encourage the outside orders online. Remind them they can be from anywhere in the country, their orders can direct ship. Let me see, what are some of the others? I walk them through what I'm offering that month. I generally will say something along the lines of, oh my gosh, I'm doing the most amazing naughty nacho platter. Oh my gosh, it is so good. I just cover it with all kinds of wonderful grilled chicken, fresh grilled chicken that I make for you, and I cover it with all kinds of cheese, and we make it all melty in the oven or on your grill if it's in the summer, and then I make some wonderful sides. I'll make a fresh salsa, and I'll have some great avocado and some other toppings. Doesn't that sound amazing? They're like, oh yeah, let's have that. Gosh, we just picked our recipe. And I got exactly what I wanted. Okay? Every once in a while, we'll say no to whatever I'm babbling on about. And it's pretty easy to find something else. But usually I'll say, the most popular food recipe right now is, and then I go into my little, this is really what I want you to do spiel. Okay? And it generally works really, really well. Let's see. Stress team effort, you're there to help. And then really once I do this single 15-minute host coaching call, I really don't need to talk to them again until a couple of days before the party. You know, we might text a few times. I make sure to put every host into my phone. And then that last minute, I'll either text, email, well usually text or call, and just say, hey, thanks for working so hard on your show, give me a rough idea on attendance. I still have you down for this recipe, you know, how many people are coming, and here's the key thing to ask. When they say there's 10 people coming, great, how many of those are confirmed yeses, and how many of those are maybes? Do you know how often I hear, well, 5 are confirmed yeses and 5 are maybes? How many maybes show up? Well, you know, the occasional. But the reality is they don't. And I can't tell you how often I've had shows. It took me a while to figure this out, where I'd have drastically lower attendance than what I expected before I started figuring out, oh, they keep telling me all the maybes didn't show up. Gosh, maybe I should ask what the difference is. Because I'm going to plan a lot differently for a show they initially say is 15 people in attendance, but then I find out 8 yeses and 7 maybes. I'm going to plan very differently for that. Do you get the idea? Is this making sense? The other thing I want to point out, and we're going to be talking about recruiting more tomorrow. Okay. On this sheet are little hearts, well, there's a share the business thing, and you'll see little 1 point spots where it's highlighted in yellow or blue. I forget which. Yellow. They're all highlighted in yellow. If you are not recruiting, I'll bet if you go back through this sheet, you're not marking any of those 1 points off. If you are recruiting, I'll bet you're knocking off almost every one of those points. All right. Do these tasks and your business will work. All right, so that is my home host coaching. It totally works. It's awesome. Take what works for you. Take bits and pieces of this. If you want to blend it with Kelly's, play around with it, make it yours. If you want to use this, great. If you want to use Kelly's, great. It doesn't matter, but use something. But maybe you take some of the wording that I have in here, or some of the structure, and go for it. Or what I like to do when I hear something really, really new and different, I think, hey, that's really cool. I will just take, like if this was new to me, I would take this, and I would follow it as much as I possibly could for a couple of months, and then I would start tweaking. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. How much time did I left?
You have a clock. You're 7:15, or no,
8:15 is my time? Or 8?
7:45.
7:45, really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Or whenever you're done.
I'm done.
You don't want to tell her
I
that.
don't have a clock because she's got my phone.
Yeah, I know what. No, that's my phone.
You have 10 minutes.
7:35.
Okay.
All right, so virtual parties. I will say, I'm using a system that I got from another director group. I started using it in November. I've been struggling with some health issues, and getting on the phone was kind of overwhelming for me. I was dealing with a lot of chronic pain issues, and I was finding that it just was so overwhelming for me to get on the phone, and very exhausting for me to physically go do some parties. And I was able to find out about this virtual party host coaching system, and to me, it's not about the script, it's about the host coaching. And I've been doing virtual parties successfully for a long time, but things had changed on Facebook, and I was finding them very frustrating. I wasn't getting the results that I used to get, and I was introduced to the script about the same time that I was just feeling overwhelmed and stressed and struggling and dealing with all these health issues. And I just said, you know what, I'm just going to grab onto the script and I'm going to run with it. I will be bluntly honest, the script is almost 80 pages long, okay? Probably 90% of it is copy and paste. Okay, that's all you're doing with it. And with detailed directions on how to set things up and what to do. And if, person X says Y, you respond with Z. And if person, Z says, S, you respond with D. It's literally like host coaching for dummies for virtual parties. All right, there's a couple of different scripts that are floating out there. Stephen, I can never say his name. Yeah, that one. I can never say his last name. I've tried several times. It's similar to his. It has a little more detail. His is amazing. If you have it, use it. Oh my gosh, if you use it, it works. Mine's slightly different. It goes with a Post My Party script. I have an old version of that script that I'm willing to share with anybody who wants it, as I am the host coaching. And it literally knocks it down to on, Sunday, these are the tasks you do. And on Monday, here's a task that you do. And Tuesday, and Wednesday, and Thursday, and on Friday, here's what you host coach. Because now the party runs Friday to Friday. And it walks you through what you do every single day. This morning, when I got up at 4:30, I spent 2.5 minutes copying and pasting, and my host coaching was done for the day.
Amen.
And I didn't have time to review yesterday's comments. It was crazy with coming in today to Iowa. So I know I'm going to have to do it tonight before I go to bed, and that's fine. But tomorrow, when I get up, I'm going to go and I'm going to take about, I don't know, I think Saturday, the last day after the end of the party, it's about 30 seconds worth of commenting. So I just need to copy and paste, and boom, done. So, and then on Sunday when I'm actually home, I'll go through and I'll announce my party prize winner and do all that kind of other stuff. So it's really, really fast and simple. I generally batch anywhere from 3 to 6 parties at a time. It's whatever you want to do. This is what works for me. But I batch 3 to 6 parties at a time. My host coaching is all done in one thread in Messenger. Okay, there's a couple of private questions I ask, but for the most part, everything goes into just one thread. And some of my host coaching or host groups, they'll actually talk to each other. The others ignore each other. You never know what kind of group you're going to get. But some of them actually talk to each other. And when they do, those parties are the most successful. So it is really, really simple. I generally feel I'm putting in anywhere from 10 to 12 hours worth of work over a 2-week period. And my sales generally, one show's always going to bomb. Let's get that out of the way. All right, one will always bomb. 2 will be about average, and average for me, 450, 500, 550, somewhere in there, 600. My virtual party average, I think, is 780 something, or something like that. I have it in here somewhere. But the beauty of it is I'm only working about 10 to 12 hours, and my sales are generally going to be a bad 2-week period is about $1,800. A good 2-week period is close to $4,000 in sales. Okay, so the numbers are there, and when you look at the number of hours I'm working, it makes it totally worth it. You do have to be proactive. Can you screw up and maybe miss a day accidentally? I've done it maybe 2 or 3 times since I started this in November. It does affect things a little bit, but not horrible. You do have to be on top of it. I actually have time set in my phone, Monday through Friday, at 8:15, the timer goes off. Did I do my host coaching? Because I leave the house at 8:30. On Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays, I do a host coaching post at 5:15. All right, so I've got things in my phone that make it really simple for me to do that. And if I need to, heck, I started a batch of parties when I was in Hawaii, and I just host coached from the beach. Life was rough. So, sent my host pictures to the thread. Gosh, this is where I'm working this week. So a little enticing, that kind of thing. And I'm seeing some recruits. So my latest is in Oregon. Somebody from Wisconsin invited a girlfriend in Oregon. She had a party, her friend had a party, her other friend had a party, and the woman signed. And then one of her friends signed. So I ended up with 2 people out in Oregon. Okay, never been to Oregon. One of them ends up a director. No, I get to go on the company. So life is good. I'm happy to share the script. I want you to understand that if you choose to look at it, understand you are going to be overwhelmed at first, and that's okay. Take a deep breath. You don't need to read the whole script right away. You don't need to memorize it. I certainly didn't. I didn't read the whole thing right away. I skimmed through the first couple of sections, realized what I had, and just ran with it. Had no idea what I was doing except for the fact that there was a day, each day there was a task, and I just went with each day. And as I did each day, I read that day. And I didn't worry about what was the next day or the day after. I just read that day. And I made some mistakes. Some of the stuff didn't work for my style. I tweaked. And you know what? Now it is, 5-6 months later? And now I have a really, really great virtual business that came at a perfect time when I was just dealing with some health stuff that just didn't work for me. So I'm not gonna specifically go through that. I will say, however, the number one most important thing that goes along with the script is that the party starts on Friday and goes through the weekend. Those first 3 days are all engagement. I don't think I have a single product post. It's all engagement. And the number of people on that party by Sunday at noon will generally determine the size of the party the following weekend when we close. So on Wednesday, when I tell them to invite, if they haven't done it by Thursday morning, I'm messaging them, hey, you're gonna be able to invite. It's really vitally important if you want this party to work, you have to invite. Thursday after dinner, if they haven't invited, hey, it's really vitally important. If you haven't done this yet, you really need to invite. I check their numbers. I look to see how many Facebook friends do they have. Okay? If they have 100 Facebook friends, I'm gonna treat them a lot differently than if they have 500. All right, if they have 500 Facebook friends, and actually I've got somebody right now who does, her name's Jessie, she's invited 70 people. I bluntly told her in a phone conversation, I've never had anyone invite less than 100 actually get any host benefits. And she's like, oh, and none of her behavior changed. Nothing.
That'll be fun.
No, I don't care. You know what, because I can't control her.
Right.
I'm not gonna am I a little irritated with her? Yeah, primarily because she's my dental assistant and will be poking at my teeth.
Play nice.
So I have to be careful what I say. No, I would be nice about it anyway. But I just at some point I just let it go. I bless and release, build a bridge, get over it, move on. She's my bomb for the week. Just accept it. You know, move on. Work with the people who care. Really, and that's a great director line too. Directors work with the people who care. Should be the same for you. Work with the hosts who care. Let me see, because I'm very limited on time now. Know your numbers. I talked about this at the beginning. Print those performance detail sheets every single month. I have a reminder that goes off about the 3rd or 4th of every month to go print my performance detail sheet. And really at the end of the year, if you want to, you can throw away the first 11 and just keep the last one. Because on January, they delete the previous year's information and you cannot ever get it back. Yeah, drives me crazy. Insane. But I like keeping all 12 of them because I will sometimes make notes on there about recipes that I did. And I can look and see, oh, I did XYZ recipe. Wow, those numbers were really low. But I'll also make a note, was I dealing with something else in my life? You know, so. Let's talk about personalities for a minute. Oh, my time's up.
And will you talk about bookings for a minute, where you're getting them from?
Virtual or home?
Either or, I think that's a question a lot of people want to
So-
know. Virtual or
so
virtual?
For the virtual, I'm generally building my bookings from my parties. And within the host coaching script is a mixture of language where you actually are starting a conversation, building a relationship with the people in the party directly. Like I'll go in and everybody who likes the early bird post, I will friend all of them. And then on Wednesday, I send them a message saying, hey, I hope you like the party, if they've accepted. I hope you like the party, yada, 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 something. Are there any other tools that you have questions on? I don't even bring up booking. I'm engaging. I'm starting a conversation. If they respond, then I go with whatever they respond with. And the beauty of it is the script has language for different answers that the host might give you. So in some cases, you can copy and paste a chunk of information, tweak it to maybe fit more what you said, and then send it. So it takes you seconds with very little brain time. All right, I prefer not to use my brain.
And your script has come from someone else who's put it together?
Yes.
It's not Stephen.
It's not Stephen. It does contain things of Stephen. After 7 months, it also contains a lot of me. Sure. To be very honest. I've tweaked a lot of it. I created some videos to go with training because I didn't want to use their videos because that was theirs. I don't care if you use my videos. I don't care. So but they'll, like a video on how do you import a script into Post My Party. I did a video on that, so that's in there, and you guys are welcome to use that, I don't care. I would ask, if you're gonna take it and then you're gonna pass it on to your team, work on changing up some of the language. Not necessarily the stuff that's going to the host in the messenger threads, because Facebook isn't, they don't care about that.
Right.
But there are things where I'll say, copy and paste the below information. Whatever that below information is, and I want them to paste in the show or on their wall, please tweet. Yeah, please tweet. And if you find a typo, I don't wanna know, because I've fixed so many so far. Let me see here, bookings. So the bookings, I use Steven's style, where he has the host engaged with, at least 5 people. I've added that probably about 6 weeks ago, and I'm getting some nice results with the hosts who do it.
Yeah.
That's the key. So this week I have 2 hosts who are doing it so far, and 2 hosts who are ignoring me. So, and pretty much if they do it, the odds are good they're getting 2 or 3. I do offer a gift if they get 3 or more and they actually hold. And that's the key thing, because let's get real, they almost never hold. So I haven't had to pay out a gift yet. So you can entice them with the idea of the gift, but if you're not paying it out, it doesn't matter. So, for you anyway. And then home parties, it's just enticing, getting them excited about products and the fun. Products and the fun, focus on the fun. People book with you for the fun. And because they like you. Free products is actually not number 1 on the list. It is for some people, but in general, it's not number 1. Focus on the fun, everything else follows. All right. So for virtual, all that language is built in. Yeah.
I was just curious, on your shows, are you creating a group or an event?
I choose to do groups because I don't want to manually post.
Okay, so my question is, on groups, when your host invites, you can see everybody they've invited, but then they don't join. So then they can still, my question is, how are you, my host is clicking on them, and then only 14 is actually, you have to click on it now.
So part of a conversation that I have with my hosts through
Right.
texting is that I want you to invite 150 to 200 people minimum. In general, if you do that, you'll probably see about 30 people respond. If 30 people respond and say yes, about 15 are going to actually participate. If 15 participate, you'll probably have about 7 to 8 orders. Okay, and it's the same thing I do with the home parties. If you invite 40 to 50, you'll probably have about 15. If 15 show up, they'll probably do about $50, per order. Oh my gosh, now you just had, I can't do the math, $750 party. And they get all excited. Oh my gosh, a $750 party! And I'm like, it'll be 1,000, but I'm telling you. But it's the same thing. Do the math. Not every host is going to grasp the concept of the math. People's brains all work very differently.
Well, because some of my hosts are saying, well, I invited 150, but they won't join, click into the group.
When you just said they won't join.
That's what, yeah. They won't,
But you
they're
can
not-
go
they
look.
have to-
Why aren't you looking?
I'm tagging them.
Okay, but how many people have joined? If they invited 150, how many joined?
There's only 14 right now.
Oh, that sounds great to me.
Oh, okay. Well, I want more.
I agree. But here's the thing. When I say that sounds great for me, I don't mean that sounds like it's going to be great. I mean that sounds like, well, she invited 150.
Okay, so that's normal then.
So why don't you? So here's the thing. My first question is, how many friends does she have on Facebook?
She had like 350. I was with her and made her click all the way down.
You just said she only invited 150.
Well, she had like 325, but we were together. We were at work, woohoo, delivering babies, and then so
In between.
So the thing is my comments to her are, if you only have 14 people, gosh, let's make sure we invite another 50 to 75 people, because then you get more people there. Make sense?
yeah.
That's all you gotta do is invite more people.
There
And
ain't
by
no
the
way
way-
I can get into that besides tagging them people.
No,
that-
No.
there's
And
a
you know what?
remind feature.
If
There is?
Yeah.
There's a what?
A remind
remind.
feature.
Yeah.
You can only remind somebody once.
Right.
Oh.
So, but you're not friends with them, and it's usually better if she is. I'm also hearing rumors that I usually make my host admin. I'm hearing rumors that Facebook, if you're admin, doesn't let people see as much. So if you make your host not be an admin, her friends are more likely to see her posts, which means they're going to be more likely to see my posts. That's the current rumor that I'm hearing.
So not make her an admin?
Right. I'm currently in the midst of experimentation.
Okay.
when my, host sends invites, I go in and send them a personal invitation from me via the messenger.
Are you having, and how many people are you having your host invite?
As I say, everybody that you.
I don't understand what everybody means. So if you,
All of your Facebook friends.
so she has 300, 200. Are you running into problems with Facebook blocking you?
I haven't yet.
Okay, I do all the time. So that's the problem.
I'm over 150, right? And then they block is what I heard.
Well, no, like the other day I was sending out my engagement post to everybody who I had friended in the 4 parties and who had responded back, or who had accepted my friend request. And after, I wanna say about 60 or 70, I got blocked from sending personal messages to people.
That's,
I don't
that's
do-
happening this week though, cause one of my
No,
girls,
this has been happening since
no, like,
November.
ultra.
It's getting worse.
Ultra
yeah.
this
Yeah,
week.
Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't do
Yeah.
them all at the
Excuse
same
me.
time.
Well, I'll spread it out over 2 days.
Also, just other ways to do it, like I've 3 days of just focusing on invites.
Yep, Wednesday,
So
Thursday,
then
Friday.
clicking the button, and then them posting on their wall, and then that, you know, like
Are they
going in it from
texting?
different directions. Yeah.
That's huge to get them to text. Oh my gosh, you're already telling the Pamper Chef website what the Facebook party link is. It's in the party invitation. It's right there for them.
If they're adding it, are you guys adding their Facebook groups into your party
You guys know you can do
invitations?
that? Okay.
Okay.
I threw it.
So do you post any of your host coaching through post my parties and then you have them do
No,
it, or you
I do.
it everything?
All post coaching is done manually
Okay.
because you can't post my party to Messenger.
Okay, so you have to do it that way. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.